What happens when a CEO decides to go undercover as a janitor? What secrets will he uncover? What truths will he face? This is the story of a man who thought he knew everything about his company, only to discover that the real world was far more complicated than he ever imagined. A story of ambition, betrayal, and the power of truth. This is a tale of the CEO who stopped cold when he overheard the board's secret plan. Elliot Carter was a man who had it all. At 42, he was the CEO of one of the most successful tech companies in the country, Nova Tech. He had a beautiful home, a loving family, and a reputation as a visionary leader. But lately, something fell off. The company he had built from the ground up no longer felt like his. The board members, once his closest allies, seemed distant. The employees, though hardworking, seemed unhappy. Elliot couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. But what? One evening, as he sat in his office, staring at the city skyline, an idea struck him. What if he could see the company from a different perspective? What if he could walk among his employees unnoticed and truly understand what was happening? It was a risky move, but Elliot was desperate. He needed answers. And so he made a decision that would change everything. He would go undercover as a janitor. The next morning, Elliot arrived at Novatech dressed in a simple uniform, his face partially hidden by a cap. He had arranged everything with his trusted assistant, Clara, who was the only one who knew about his plan. As he walked through the doors, he felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. Would he be able to pull this off? Would he discover the truth? Only time would tell. The first few days were uneventful. Elliot cleaned floors, emptied trash cans, and observed the employees. He noticed things he had never seen before. The tired faces of the night shift workers. The whispered conversations in the break room. The way people avoided eye contact with each other. It was as if the company was a machine, and the employees were just cogs, slowly wearing down. Elliot's heart ached. He had built this company to empower people, not to break them. But it was on the fourth day that everything changed. Elliot was cleaning the boardroom late at night when he overheard a conversation that made his blood run cold. The board members had gathered for a secret meeting, unaware that the janitor in the corner was their CEO. "We need to move forward with a plan," said a voice. It was Richard, the chairman of the board. "The layoffs will start next week. We'll cut 30% of the workforce. It's the only way to keep the profits up." Elliot froze. Layoffs? He had no idea this was happening. He listened intently, his heart pounding. "But what about Elliot?" asked another voice. It was Margaret, the CFO. "He'll never agree to this." Richard chuckled. "Elliot is too soft. He cares too much about the employees. That's why we're doing this behind his back. Once the layoffs are done, he'll have no choice but to accept it." Elliot's hands trembled as he gripped the mop. He felt a surge of anger and betrayal. How could they do this? How could they make such a decision without him? He wanted to storm into the room and confront them, but he knew he couldn't. Not yet. He needed to gather more information. Over the next few days, Elliot dug deeper. He discovered that the board had been making secret deals with a rival company, selling off key assets without his knowledge. They were planning to merge Novatech with the rival company, leaving thousands of employees without jobs. It was a cold, calculated move, driven by greed and ambition. Elliot's heart broke as he thought about the employees. The single mother who worked 2 shifts to support her kids. The young programmer who had just bought his first home. The elderly security guard who had been with the company for decades. These were real people with real lives, and the board was ready to throw them away like they were nothing. But Elliot wasn't going to let that happen. He had built this company with his own hands, and he wasn't going to let it be destroyed. He began to formulate a plan. He would expose the board's secret plan and save the company. But he knew it wouldn't be easy. The board was powerful, and they had the resources to fight back. Elliot would need to be careful. One evening, as he was cleaning the CEO's office, his own office, he found a file that made his heart stop. It was a contract, signed by Richard, selling Novatech to the rival company. The date was set for just 2 weeks from now. Elliot knew he had to act fast. The next day, Elliot called a meeting with the board. He arrived dressed in his janitor's uniform, much to their surprise. As they stared at him in confusion, He began to speak. "I know what you're planning," he said, his voice steady. "I know about the layoffs. I know about the merger. And I know about the contract." The room fell silent. Richard's face turned pale. "Elliot, what are you talking about?" he stammered. "I've been undercover as a janitor for the past 2 weeks," Elliot continued. "I've seen what's happening in this company. I've seen the pain and the fear in the employees' eyes. And I've seen the greed and the betrayal in this room." Margaret stood up, her face red with anger. "How dare you spy on us?" she shouted. "You have no right." "I have every right," Elliot shot back. "This is my company. I built it, and I'm not going to let you destroy it." The board members exchanged nervous glances. They knew they had been caught. But Richard wasn't ready to give up. "You can't stop us, Elliot," he said, his voice cold. "We have the votes. We have the power. You're outnumbered." Elliot smiled. "Maybe, but I have something you don't. I have the truth, and I'm going to share it with everyone." With that, Elliot pulled out a USB drive and plugged it into projector. The screen lit up with documents, emails, and recordings of the board's secret meetings. The room erupted into chaos as the board members realized they had been exposed. In the days that followed, the truth about the board's plans spread like wildfire. The employees were outraged. The media picked up the story, and the shareholders demanded answers. The board was forced to resign, and Elliot took back control of the company. But the battle wasn't over. Elliot knew he had to rebuild Novatech from the ground up. He began by meeting with the employees, listening to their concerns, and promising to make things right. He canceled the layoffs and reversed the merger. He implemented new policies to ensure transparency and fairness. And he made a vow to never lose touch with the people who made the company great. As the months passed, Novatech began to heal. The employees felt valued and respected. The company's profits soared. And Elliot found a new sense of purpose. He had learned that true leadership wasn't about power or money. It was about empathy, integrity, and the courage to stand up for what was right. In the end, Elliot's journey as a janitor had taught him more than he ever imagined. It had shown him the importance of humility, the power of truth, and the strength of the human spirit. And as he stood in his office, looking out at the city skyline, he knew that he had made a difference, not just for himself, but for everyone who believed in the dream of Novatech. Moral of the story: true leadership is not about power or control. It's about understanding, empathy, and the courage to stand up for what is right. Sometimes, the greatest lessons come from stepping into someone else's shoes and seeing the world through their eyes. Before we wrap up, I want to take a moment to thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. Stories like these remind us of the power of kindness, courage, and standing up for what's right. If this story touched your heart, made you think, or inspired you in any way, let us know in the comments below. Tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to share this story with others. Sometimes, a simple act of sharing can make a huge impact. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join our community. We've got more heartfelt stories coming your way. Until next time, remember, kindness changes lives. See you soon